Hi guys, we're going to talk about classifying triangles today, so let's go ahead and get started. First thing, you need to know what a triangle is. It's formed by three segments and three non-collinear points. Think about it. Segment, segment, segment. Three segments. This point, and this point are non-collinear. Non-collinear means they don't lie in a straight line, okay? So non-collinear. Well, there's two different ways you could classify a triangle. You could classify it by its number of sides, okay? Or you could classify it by what its angles are like, okay? So there are two different ways to classify it, and I know in my class, students tend to mix these names up. So keep in mind, sides are equilateral, isosceles, and scalene. And the angle names would be equilateral, acute, right, and obtuse, okay? So first let's talk about equilateral. Notice that all three sides are marked exactly the same. So three congruent sides means you have an equilateral triangle. Isosceles, two of your sides must be marked exactly the same. So at least two congruent sides, then you have an isosceles triangle. And then last, scalene. Notice that none of these sides are marked. So you cannot assume that you know anything about those sides. So if none of the sides are the same, then it's going to be a scalene triangle, okay? Let's go over here and look at classification by angles. So for classification by angles, an equiangular triangle has all three sides congruent. Now I want to pause here for a second. There are 180 degrees in a triangle, right? So if you have 180 degrees in a triangle, and you divide it up amongst the three angles, then each angle would be 60 degrees, okay? So in an equiangular triangle, every single angle is 60 degrees. An acute triangle means that all three angles are less than 90 degrees. So if you look at this triangle, this angle is just slightly less than 90, this one's definitely less than 90, and this one's less than 90. Over here in a right triangle, you have to have at least one right angle. At least one angle has to be exactly 90 degrees. And in an obtuse triangle, at least one of these angles has to be more than 90 degrees. Okay? Actually, it shouldn't be at least one of those angles have to be more than 90 degrees. In a triangle, you could actually only have one angle bigger than 90 degrees because of the restriction of it being 180, okay? So one obtuse angle. So just be careful, people mix these up a lot. I do want to say that an equilateral triangle is also an equiangular triangle. So an equilateral triangle is the same as an equiangular triangle, okay? So watch out, these are exactly the same, and it's because if all the sides are congruent, then all the angles are congruent. Here later on, we're going to learn that since two of these sides are congruent, two of these angles are congruent, okay? We learn that later on. And then vice versa, right? So later on we find out if a couple of angles are congruent, then a couple of sides are congruent. But that's for later. So let's just talk about what we have here right now. Okay, so let's go down here and let's classify the triangle by its angles and its sides. And it says explain why. I don't want you guessing. So first let's talk about its name by its angles. Looking at all these angles, is this acute, right, obtuse, or equiangular? All of the angles here are less than 90 degrees. So all angles are less than 90 degrees. So this triangle is acute. Okay? What about its sides? What about its sides? I see two sides congruent. So is this triangle equilateral, isosceles, or scalene? It's going to be isosceles. So two sides congruent. Ooh, I wrote two side. Two sides congruent. So this is going to be isosceles. Okay, let's try this next triangle out. Let's look at the angles first. I see a 90-degree angle. When we see a 90-degree angle, what kind of triangle do we have? Remember, you only can choose from acute, obtuse, right, and equiangular. This one's going to be right. So we have one 90-degree angle, so this is going to be a right triangle. Let's classify it by its sides. 3, 5, and 4. none of the sides are the same. So is this going to be scalene, isosceles, or equilateral? Scalene. So no sides congruent, scalene. Done with this one. Let's look at C. Ooh, got some decimals in here, but don't get frightened, okay? You all can handle it. So let's talk about the angles. We've got 40, 95, and 45. So is this right, acute, obtuse, or equiangular? Well, it's going to be obtuse because we have one angle bigger than 90 degrees. So we have one angle bigger than 90 degrees, so it's going to be obtuse. Let's look at the sides. 6.4, 5.8, and 9. Is this isosceles, equilateral, or scalene? It's going to be scalene. No sides congruent, scalene. Okay? So I think we've had enough practice here on the video with these. So what I would like you to do is for 4, 5, and 6, you will try them on your own. Okay? So you try 4, 5, and 6. Now you can pause the video here and try them if you want, or you can just wait until the video's over and go back and fill them in. It's completely up to you. What I like to do with my videos is I like to watch them the first time and write nothing down so I could grasp what's going on. And then I like to go through it a second time and then write down everything the teacher is saying. I actually still do that when I'm teaching my classes. If I want to see how someone else has taught a lesson on YouTube, I'll go and I'll watch it, and I'll sometimes do that. So it's not just for you guys, you know, as an adult and as a teacher, I do this too. So go ahead and try 4, 5, and 6 on your own. Let's keep going. We're going to talk about opposite angles and opposite sides. But first we have to talk about the vocabulary. A vertex is a point on a triangle that joins two sides of that triangle together, right? So B is a vertex, but AB is a side, and BC is a side. So be careful. Students mess this up. I'll be like, hey, give me an angle, and they'll be like, BC. And I'll be like, no, okay, that's a side. So be very careful. We have our vertices and we have our sides. The side across from an angle is called its opposite side. Okay, so look at angle B. Its opposite side is AC. Look at angle A. Its opposite side is BC. Look at angle C. Its opposite side is AB. Okay, so you just want to take a little arrow and point across, and then you'll know the answer. Just remember, angle is opposite a side, and a side is opposite an angle. I'll have students tell me funky stuff, like, oh, angle A is opposite angle B. And I'll be like, no, 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 no. If you have an angle, what's opposite from it is a side, and vice versa. Okay, so let's look at this first one. Name the side that is opposite from the angle. So from angle A, shoot straight across, and what side does it touch? CB. And I'm going to change up the colors here just so you can see the difference. So then we have angle B, shoot straight across from there, and what is it opposite from? AC. And then we have angle C, and we shoot across straight from there, and what is it opposite from? AB. Okay, so that's how you figure out what's opposite from what. And notice that the angle is opposite from a side. Okay, we don't have like angle opposite from an angle, which is kind of weird. Okay, don't do that. So let's go down here. Name an angle that is opposite the side. Now this is tougher for students because they don't actually look at the entire side and then shoot straight across. And sometimes angles are kind of like not exactly across from the side, but I've got a way of kind of sorting this out. So we have side AM right here, correct? I always tell students, look, if you're not good at figuring out like, oh, where do I point? I mean, is it opposite here? Is it opposite here? Do I go over here? If you're one of those people, that can't see that the angle that is straight opposite from a side, do this. In the triangle, do you see how I have this as purple? It's on A and M. Guess what angle is opposite from it? I'll give you a hint. It's the letter that I don't have in purple. What's the only letter that doesn't have some purple touch in it? S. All right, so this is angle S. So let's do that again. I'm going to change to red. So we have side MS. If you're having a hard time seeing what angle, this is where I have students accidentally tell me a side is opposite a side. Watch out. What angle is opposite from this? If you're having a hard time, because students will go like this and be like, MS and AS are opposites. No. I have a side. You have to give me an angle. So it's really difficult for some students, and I totally understand. But see what we have in red here, the MS? Well, what's not in red? The A. So actually the A is your opposite angle. Okay? And then let's do this last one, SA. So we have SA. What letter is not connected in green here? The M. That's what's opposite. Let's spell Sam. Kind of cool. All right. So hopefully that makes some sense because you will be trying this on your own. Okay? So bring all of those to class and try those out and let's see how it goes and then we can discuss it and you can ask me questions, okay? I hope that you thoroughly enjoyed this beautiful lesson on classifying triangles and I will see you in class. Bye-bye.